Hey guys, so I have some bad news today. Well, it's not really bad news, but I got my first recall notice on this 2020 Ram, and I just wanted to kind of go over it with you in case you haven't seen this before. Maybe it'd help somebody out. So this particular recall I just got yesterday. It applies to the 2020 Ram 1500, and it says that they've decided that a defect which relates to motor vehicle safety exists in these vehicles. And what this particular recall deals with is the driver's side floor mat. So if you have the factory what they call the all-weather floor liners, then this will apply to you. The driver's side all-weather floor mat in your vehicle may, in certain circumstances, interfere with the raised feature on an all-weather floor mat, possibly inhibiting the accelerator pedal from promptly repositioning to a lesser So basically, it's very technical jargon. What it means is the floor mats are getting hung up underneath the accelerator pedal in certain situations. And so what they're going to do, according to this, is they're going to do some trim work on your floor mats if you take them back in for repair. You know, it says right here that the dealer will inspect the driver's side floor mat and, if required, remove some material from the driver floor mats to mitigate the potential for interference with the accelerator pedal. So I'm going to show you specifically what they're talking about in the truck. Now, keep in mind that I've had this truck for 7 months now, I think, going on 8 months, and I have not one single time had any issues at all with these all-weather floor liners. In fact, I actually really love them. Hey, look, there's a French fry. I guess a bird gets this one. Some lucky bird out there just won the lottery. But you notice how these floor liners have these clips, these pegs that they snap onto. See that? There's one there and there's one over there. So there's no way for them to slide forward. And there's the coverage that you get around the accelerator pedal. You can see how the floor liner goes around and behind the accelerator pedal. So, you know, I don't see any way for that to be a problem. Let me see if I can get my hand in here. See, if you press the accelerator pedal all the way down, you still got, look at that. The floor liner still goes behind the pedal. So I don't see how the accelerator pedal could possibly get caught up underneath, or the floor mat couldn't get caught up underneath the pedal. I just don't see how that could happen unless it was user error and you didn't have these snapped in. And, you know, I suppose that if you didn't snap those in properly, the mat could slide around. But again, I've never had that problem. These things have been fantastic. I actually really like them. They're every bit as nice as the expensive WeatherTechs and some of the other ones I've bought in the past. So I love them. Haven't had any trouble at all. But I just thought I would show you that, because if you've got one of these 2020 Rams, you're probably going to get a recall notice in the mail. And if you don't get a recall notice in the mail, let's say you bought the truck secondhand and so they don't have your information on file, you may not get a recall notice in the mail. Just wanted to give you a heads up on this. If this is something that you're concerned about, you can take it to the dealership and they'll rectify the situation for you. There's a rumor out there that they're actually going to go ahead and develop a whole new mat. So in the future, they'll be able to just replace this one with another updated version of it. But for now, it sounds like what the dealers are doing is just trimming them up. Now, I don't want mine trimmed up. The whole idea behind the floor liner is to keep junk off of your carpet, especially in the wintertime. If you have snow and, you know, salt and all that crap on the roads, it gets on your boots, and then you get in the truck, it gets on the carpet. That's the whole point of these. So I don't want any trimming going on mine. I'm probably going to skip this recall myself, at least for as long as I can. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you got one of these trucks, keep an eye on it. You know, again, I don't see how it could be a problem, but obviously for some people it was, or this wouldn't have happened. So, hey, and while we're on the topic of interiors, I wanted to show you something. I got this idea from a guy on one of the 5th Gen Ram owners forums. So I can't take credit for coming up with this completely on my own, but I sort of had this idea and he just went ahead and did it. This particular thing right here is just a basic standard wireless charger. You can get these off of Amazon, eBay, lots of different places. It's just a cheap universal wireless charging pad for a cell phone. It's shaped like a square, as you can see. And on these new Rams, you have these little pockets here where you can slide a cell phone down in there. Now on the upper trim levels, this not only holds your phone, but it also wirelessly charges your phone. This doesn't have anything to do with it. This is just plugged into one of the USB ports. That doesn't have anything to do with it. So we'll move that out of the way for now. But anyhow, so this one being a Bighorn didn't have that feature, but it still has the pockets for the cell phone. So what we did, this guy had this idea, and I did the same thing. I bought this for like 11 bucks, 12 bucks off Amazon, and I just used some of that double-sided tape. It's the command strips is what they call them. You can buy them from Walmart or craft stores or whatever. That way it's not permanent and it won't damage anything. But it's double-sided tape basically, and I just stuck this pad on here, and I oriented it so that the power cable comes out to the left and it doesn't interfere with anything else. And now what I can do is just pop my cell phone down in the pocket and it wirelessly charges my phone. It's really cool. So down here below you can see the AC adapter and these Rams with this package, the level 2 package on the Bighorn edition. You've got a actual AC adapter right here, so I plugged that in. Of course I've got a lot of junk in this console right now, but the wire just comes over and around to the charge pad. So anyway, I just want to show you that. It's really cool, and it gives you a place to not only store the cell phone where you can see it and it's not going to flop around or anything, and it also keeps it charged up. So when you're driving, your phone's always getting a charge, and it's a good spot for it because it's just out of the way of everything else, you know. And it keeps your cubby holes up there and other places open, you know, so you're not stashing your cell phone in there. Good use of space right there. Now, when I did the review the other day, I feel like I really skipped over the interior a lot more than I should have because the video was already getting pretty long. But I mean, again, just to reiterate, the interior on these new 5th gen Rams is just amazing. I mean, I just love all of the storage. I mean, there's storage everywhere. Still got a big glove box down there. This is, thanks to a guy who left a comment on the last post, or the last video that I made. This is actually part of that optional, what they call premium cloth seating. So the premium cloth seating that I showed you guys in that review video, that's, you know, it's an additional $500. It's not just the fabric, it's actually the bucket seats with this huge console. That's what you get for that $500 upcharge. And now that I understand it, thanks by the way for that comment, now that I understand it, I really think it's a great deal. This console is so functional. You know, this sliding cup holder and tray that you can put things in. You got this big cavernous space down here. Like I said, my wife can put her whole purse down in here and cover it up when we go into the store or something. You know, it's just awesome to have all that space. And of course, you still got this big flat area here that you can use. I usually use it for like a dinner table, but a lot of guys, you know, set your laptop on here or whatever and work. Still got cup holders back here. More space. We've got a bunch of napkins in there right now. There's that tray, but of course, if you move the tray out of the way, then you have more space down in there. You'd have to be a trapeze artist to use some of this stuff because you have to turn around backwards to see it. But hey, at least it's there, right? But yeah, I mean, the storage in this thing is amazing. The layout of the interior in this new Ram is amazing. They did just such a great job. The materials, you know, you've got a lot of soft touch materials all over this truck. It doesn't look cheap and flimsy like the Chevys. You know, the Chevy trucks even now are just very cheap looking. They've always been cheap looking, but even in 2020, I mean, I just can't believe how primitive and just terrible the design is on those. This does not look that way at all. This is just beautiful, functional. Can't say enough great things about it. You've got all the buttons here. This is another reason I like the 8.4 inch screen instead of that big, you know, vertically shaped screen that you can get in these Rams. I like the 8.4 inch screen because in addition to being able to use the touch, you know, controls, you've also got physical buttons. So You know, sometimes it's easier just to find a physical button and push it. Instead of going through all the menus and all this and that, you've got dedicated buttons for things down here. For example, defrost. You can just press the button, boom, you've got defrost. If you want to go to recirculate mode, you want to turn on your heated seats, heated steering wheel, turn the fan up and down, fool with the radio, you know, whatever the case might be. Sometimes it's faster just to press a button rather than going through the menus, but you've got both options, and that's what I really like about it. Also, if this screen ever fails, you know, it's an electronic part, it's very sophisticated, chances are it's probably going to fail one day. If it does fail, you've still got controls down here, you know, whereas on that gigantic screen, it controls everything. You know, and if that thing goes out, you're talking thousands of bucks for a repair. I don't know. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I just like to keep it simple. I like nice stuff, but I don't want to go overboard. And I just kind of like this layout a lot better personally. Only thing in here, again, that I can't stand is this rotary knob here for the shifter. You know, turning that dial is just not very intuitive. I like to have something to move. But when they did this, they freed up a ton of space, which allowed things like this. So it's a big positive, I guess, overall. I'll just have to get used to it. And here we are in the back seat. I was just obviously sitting in the driver's seat. I'm about 6'3", so I left the driver's seat in that same position and climbed back here in the back seat. And look at all of this knee room. You know, like 2 guys over 6 feet tall can sit behind each other or sit in a row like ducks, and you've got tons of space back here in this crew cab. You know, I didn't have the generation prior to this one, so I can't say if this is more space than the 4th gen Ram had. But the 5th gen Ram is awesome. Tons of headroom as well. Just a lot of space back here. So again, fantastic interior. And check this out. Back here, you've got cup holders. You've got a cubby hole, more storage. You've got USB ports, 4 different ones. In addition to that, you've got an AC 115 volt AC outlet, air conditioning that you can close or you can open it up, move it around. So the passengers back here can stay comfortable, use devices, have cup holders, and all of that as well. So again, just a very functional interior that they did a fantastic job on. It's a beautiful truck. In my opinion, the best interior that you can get. And this is just a Bighorn with a level 2 package. This is not even the upper trim levels. You know, you got the Laramie Longhorn Limited. You got the upper trim levels that are even more luxurious than this. This one's just a standard run-of-the-mill Bighorn. Again, with that level 2 package, which I highly recommend if you get one of these. So you keep the price in check and you still get a fantastic truck out of it. So in the next video, what we might take a look at is this diesel treatment that I've been using. Now there's a guy who has a YouTube channel called Project Farm, and he tested a lot of the additives. Now granted, the additives that he was testing were mainly like wintertime diesel additives, but I noticed that the Hot Shots brand blew the other ones away. Some of the other ones were like really surprisingly bad, but this one performed really well. And this is their everyday diesel treatment, so you can use it year round. I've been using this. Obviously you can see I've only got a half bottle left. And, you know, I've kind of noted, you know, what the mileage has been and how the truck has been running. So now what I think I'm going to do is run some tanks through the truck without the additive, see if I notice any difference in mileage or smoothness or how the engine runs. And I may talk about that a little bit in the next video. So anyhow, got that to look forward to. I appreciate